Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Napick. Every week we talk about success and everything that goes along with it. You'll learn the principles of success, how to achieve success, and learn to overcome challenges that may be getting in the way of success in your life. You'll hear from Bill Napick, a radio personality and business development expert, along with insight from special guests. If you're ready to find your path to success or take the success you're enjoying to the next level, stay tuned. Successful Living with Bill Napick is on right now.
And welcome to the show, Successful Living with Bill Napick. I am Bill Napick, and today, Successful Living with Paul Driscoll. And Paul's appearance will be a show first. He is a magician right here, located in Houston, Texas. Paul, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
And I said magician just in case people didn't pick it up the first time. You actually make your living by being a magician, an illusionist, if you will, right?
Right. I'm not really an illusionist. Illusions are the larger scale things like David Copperfield does. I'm a comedy magician. I do comedy and magic together.
Well, that's fascinating because I think one of the things about magic and tricks are they captivate people, and apparently they did captivate you early on in your career.
Yeah, I started at 6 years old as a hobby. So so I've been at it at least 10 years now.
And what was it about the profession that attracted you early on?
Well, my older brother in high school, he was fooling around with magic, and he bought tricks at the local magic fun shop here in Houston. And I kind of got into his closet when I was 6 years old and found these tricks and started playing around with them. That's how I really got into it. Of course, I'd seen magicians on television too, of course. But yeah, I got his tricks, and that's what really got me interested. And he lost interest, and he went on to other things, hobbies, but I stuck with. I actually started doing puppet shows before I was a magician because I was very shy as a kid. So I could, do hand puppets and kind of hide and still be able to perform, but you wouldn't really see me. So then I got into the magic.
And I think when people see a trick, a magician on TV or in Las Vegas or anywhere else, the first thing they're watching, and they say, wonder how he or she did it. And right. That is, I suppose, the whole mechanics of a trick is that you want to make sure that someone doesn't know how it's done, and you amaze them and you bring them into the actual trick, and some of them are, a minute long? They could be 10 minutes, whatever it is. There's a time frame of each thing that you do.
Yeah, what I do, I consider myself kind of a magical entertainer in that I want to amaze them and fool them and have them leave the show thinking, how did he do that? But
exactly.
I also want to entertain them, make them laugh at the same time. So it's kind of like a double deal there, the magic and the comedy. The goal, of course, is to fool them, but I also want to make them laugh and have a good time.
And when you saw magicians on TV early on, you said you started at about 6 years old. When you saw these people on TV, who were your favorite magicians, let's say going way back? Was there one or two that struck you?
Yeah, there's a name, not so well known now, but when I was growing up, in fact, he was from Dallas, Texas, and he ended up having a network magic show and also a syndicated show. His name was Mark Wilson, and he had a series of shows called the Magic Circus that were syndicated. And I used to watch those as a kid, and he was my inspiration, my favorite magician at that time. So he was kind of like, and of course Doug Henning came along later.
In fact, you mentioned Mark Wilson. I happen to have picked up a book in the last, year and a half at a used bookstore or something.
His course.
One of his magic books.
His course in magic.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
When we think, and your magic, I've seen some of the videos, but you also do close-up. So like a card trick, would we call that a close-up
Yeah, I'm not
magic
really,
trick?
Some magicians specialize in that. They do the close-up sleight of hand magic, and I'm more of a stage performer, but I do a little close-up, just for fun. But you're kind of either one or the other. You're either a stage performer or you're a close-up act. Very few guys really specialize and do both of those, but I'm more of a stage act.
So give people an idea of, if you do a performance, first of all, how long is there an average amount of time that you do? And within that time, let's say, I don't know if there's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, and in that time period, are there a certain amount of tricks that you do? How many would you do, say, per show?
Okay, see, in my case, I have like complete routines, almost like a comedian telling a story. I'm doing magic, like routines, and I do a lot of audience. I get people out of the audience, so a lot of audience interaction. So typically, if a corporation or business hires me to come in and do like a after dinner program, a banquet, or a luncheon, it'll be like a 45-minute 45-minute show. And in that time, my typical, repertoire, probably a dozen routines in that time. So I do quite a bit in, 45 minutes. But again, these are like just not real quick bang, bang tricks. They're routines, they're scripted. And of course, I do a lot of ad-libbing too with the comedy. But I get people on stage, so that's, it's fun part of it.
So most of your activities in your profession are you work for corporations, for parties and things. Is that your main thing?
Corporate events, galas, companies have a meeting or seminars, or they'll bring me in as kind of, holiday parties for the employees, that kind of thing.
And Paul, let's tell people in case they're wondering your website right now. We're talking with Paul Driscoll. He is a magician located right here in Houston, Texas. What's that website?
The best way to see me is at my official Facebook page, and you can just go to Facebook and do a search for Magician Paul Driscoll, and it'll come up. That's my official page, and all the information's there, how to reach me and everything.
Well,
they can follow me there too.
As I said when you started, you are our first magician on the show in 231 shows, and you're also probably the tallest guest we have had too. And he is 6'9", right, Paul?
I'm 6'9", or sometimes I tell people I'm 5'21". That kind of confuses them. So anyway,
exactly. So a magician we can look up to in a way. In fact, and people tune into the YouTube video. You're on the cover of a book a magazine called The Linking Ring. So that's the February 2019 issue. This is for magicians.
I'm real good company because in the past, they've had some of the names in magic, like David Copperfield has been a cover story, Penn and Teller, Chris Angel, who's very big in Vegas. So I'm in very good company as far as being on the cover there.
Indeed. And when I think about people like, as you mentioned, Penn and Teller, and tremendous people. Thinking way back, I used to see Siegfried and Roy many times in Las Vegas. And it's interesting when people see a show like that and they see tricks that I still remember them today. And I'd seen the Siegfried and Roy show many times and had different seats. And sometimes I was very close to the stage to where first there was a woman in a cage coming down, and then there's a tiger.
Right.
And I'm looking and saying, hey, there's nothing below, nothing on the back. Where did the tiger come from? It is truly amazing when a trick is done with that precision and
up
success.
Close, right.
You've seen the Siegfried and Roy show?
I have, yeah.
Those guys were something, weren't they?
They were something, yeah. They were in Vegas a long time, man. They were like top act there.
They were bringing in people every night, 2 shows a night. I don't know how many hundreds, but that was a great thing.
I got to go to their home one time, and I got to see where all the animals lived, and very nice accommodations for the tigers and lions.
Oh, they had a very interesting career. I remember reading about them on the cruise ship, doing tricks and things like that.
That's where they met. Siegfried was a magician performing on the ships, which I've done like tons of cruise ships. And Roy was a cabin steward, and they're both from Germany, and they met and had a friendship. And Siegfried had the magic, and Roy had this knack for working with animals. In fact, he had on the ship, when they met, he had a pet, leopard.
I remember.
Pet leopard, right.
And they execute these tricks, again, with precision. I can remember, and even the dialogue, not just the trick that was going on, but I remember, I think it was Siegfried, seeing him, and everything as he addressed the audience, he engaged them in a tremendous way and connected with them and was also very likable. So it was all those things, and that's the world of entertainment, whether it's magic, music, or anything else.
You have to make the audience doesn't like you. It doesn't matter what you do. If they don't like you, that's the key to make them like you. If they like you, you can think. Bob Hope said that. If the audience likes you, you can do anything. So
that's exactly right. So when let's say you take a trick, how long does it take? And I guess it's different, but give us an idea of what happens when you decide upon a trick, right? That you get an idea, and I guess you practice. Give us an idea of the mechanics of what you do to make something successful before you bring it out there.
Oh, it can be, weeks, months, something original that I'm working on where you have to create it and design it. That can take months and months. And then there's a rehearsal, and so you have to have it perfect before you even try to present it, to an audience, of course. So it could be months, developing and getting a trick down.
And then it's also like a concert or a musician. When you go out and do a show, I would think you have to determine which ones you do first, which ones transition to the next one. How do you figure that out?
Yeah, I have it all mapped out ahead of time. I have a pretty stock set show. Of course, I can change it depending on the audience. But yeah, certain tricks are best at the beginning, and some are better in the middle, and of course you want the best at the end. So it's all, it's planned and worked out ahead of time, of course.
So here in Houston, you're doing corporate events, and also years ago there was a place called Magic Island. The building is still there. Let's tell people what you know about that, and someone's saying that it might reopen again.
Right. It closed about 2 years ago. I'm sorry, 10 years ago due to Hurricane Ike. There was a fire the night of the hurricane, so it's been closed since then. But the original owner is having it renovated, and they're planning on opening in the fall. So Magic Island will be back. So it's like a supper club. You go there and have dinner, and then see magic shows.
So it sounds like their format, because I remember being there many years ago, it sounds like the format will be very similar.
It's be exactly the same as it was. You go there, have dinner. After dinner, you see the show in the main showroom, which is where I always work, the stage. And then you go to, after the show, there are smaller, like you mentioned before, close-up magicians performing in smaller rooms, and you can spend a whole evening there. So, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of making me think of a show that was on. I don't know what the name of it was, and I know
I know who you're talking about.
Penn and Teller they've done several TV shows, but one of the shows they had magicians try to fool them.
It's currently running. It's called Penn and Teller Fool Us.
And it's amazing.
Right.
I've only seen a few episodes, but it is amazing to see that apparently there's a few people that actually fooled them, because they collaborate with each other and say, okay, well, because they know all, I guess not all the tricks, but they know sure know a lot of them, right?
Right.
Those guys are great, by the way.
Yeah, they're great. They have their own style, and it's kind of like, remember Harpo Marx, the one who doesn't speak in the act.
Exactly.
Teller. It's kind of like the Harpo, the gentle, kind one, and then you have, Penn Jillette, the more bombastic,
Have you ever met those guys?
I met Teller in Las Vegas at a party. I never met.
Did he talk?
He did talk, yes. I was amazed, yeah.
It's amazing. I was having, I think it was dinner once, in Las Vegas at the hotel. Was it called the Palms? I was having dinner there, and I saw Teller across the room. I didn't talk to him, but I saw him. I said, hey, there he is, getting ready before a show, having something to eat.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun. And Las Vegas is just a tremendous place for any kind of entertainment. But you've been in Las Vegas on cruise ships. Tell people a little bit about your viewpoint of what it was like when you were in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I've worked not a lot in Vegas. I did a review show there. I've done corporate things in Vegas. I did Catch a Rising Star, which was the comedy showroom at Bally's Hotel. Did Tropicana.
Well, that's kind of cool, because that's a place where I would think there's so many people that visit that you have the opportunity to try things out and to really get that crowd response.
Yeah, because it's a different audience every night. It's different. The tourists are coming in. Kind of like when I do cruise ships, it's always a different crowd. I can try things out because I'm doing multiple shows. So, yeah. So it's like.
And that
like
keeps you in
Vegas.
Practice, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. Luckily, most of my I've done so many times, I don't have to really practice on it because I've done it so much. If I'm doing something new, of course, I'll work on it. I'll break it in and practice on it.
Now, do you have a trademark trick or two that you do that you might be known for if someone sees you, or they may say, hey, I saw Paul Driscoll do this, you ought to see that?
Right. Yeah, I do a thing. I'm a big Rat Pack fan, the old Vegas guys, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. So in their act in Vegas back in the 50s, they used to have a rolling bar on stage where they would make themselves drinks when they were kibitzing in between the jokes, and they'd pour a drink and whatever. So I took that idea and I do kind of a magical tribute to the Rat Pack, where I have a little bar on stage, and I actually take a cocktail shaker, and I have a Vegas showgirl as my assistant, and I pour in different liquors and booze all in one shaker. I shake it up, and I talk about the drinks that the Rat Pack would drink. I say, Frank Sinatra always liked a bourbon and water, Jack Daniels. So I pour a Jack Daniels. And of course, Dean Martin, he'd like vodka and cranberry, and I pour a vodka and cranberry. And Sammy Davis Jr. wanted a rum and coke, Joey Bishop. So I pour all these different drinks out of the one shaker, and then the girl takes them out into the audience, and that people actually taste the drinks, and they verify they're really the drinks that I'm saying they're legitimate drinks. And then the cocktail shaker I take apart, and I throw the parts of the shaker into the audience, and the shaker is just an ordinary shaker.
Now, that sounds pretty incredible.
That's my own original.
All right, so let's take that trick for a second, and let's say the time duration of that one. How long would that? Sounds like maybe a 15, 10-minute
It's about 8 to 10 minutes, because you have to pass the drinks out, and people verify it, and of course the pouring of the drinks. But it's all, I'm doing jokes, and there's music,
right.
background music, so it's like a little routine.
But taking that 10 minutes, you have one shaker. And how many drinks are you producing from that?
Well, in the Rat Pack, I don't include Peter Lawford, so it's just Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Joey Bishop. So I pour four different drinks, right?
and when the people taste them, they are the drink that
yeah, I
you
have,
say
I have
they
them
are.
stand up and I say, now you're tasting for the entire audience. You have to, rely on your truthfulness. Is that really a bourbon and water? Tell us. I mean, if it's not, tell us. If it is, and of course they taste it. Yes, bourbon and water. And then if it wasn't, believe me, they would let me.
That would
they
let
would
you
let you
know.
know.
Yeah.
Next one is Sammy's Rum and Coke, or Dean's Vodka Cranberry, and they're all real drinks.
That sounds like a great trick. How do people respond to that one?
Oh, it's one of my most popular tricks. Yeah, because again, it's the Rat Pack, and that's.
That gets people's interest because everybody, many people
I
like
kind
them.
of like take them back. I said, we're going to take you back to 1959, and back in the old days of Vegas, back when it was run by the family and not for the family.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
my instinct says, how did you do that? But I know you can't reveal the secret to that.
I've had bartender friends come to the show, and they know all about cocktails, and they offer me all these theories, and they're totally way off. They have no idea, and they're bartenders, and they're fooled. So that
sounds like a
seal
tremendous
of approval.
trick. Yeah, and you could probably do that trick for people if they reach out to you, Paul Driscoll, on your Facebook page. Easy to spell your name, Driscoll, and people can hire you to do that trick, and many others as well, right, Paul?
Yeah, it's just part of my whole show that I do. Yeah, and and on Facebook again, just do a search for magician Paul Driscoll. They'll take to my official page. So.
And give people an idea of what it's like. And I think even let's take a comedian, even someone that is a musician. When people applaud, when they appreciate what you do, that has to be a tremendous feeling.
Oh yeah, nothing like applause. I mean, that's the greatest thing. And also to get a big laugh. I mean, the more laughs, the more applause, the better. But yeah, it just feels great. Reaction from the audience, a live situation.
And I would think in the magician's case, certainly a comedian's going to get that laugh. That's great. But in your case, you may get the applause. But I think you also probably can look in their eye and see them wondering, well, how did he do that? That's kind of a different element in terms of audience reaction. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, and I've done this so long, I can tell within the first minute how the audience is going to be. I can make adjustments on the comedy, but I can know pretty accurately, and within the first minute of me going out there, I know exactly how the audience is going to be. Because people say there's no such thing as a bad audience. Yes, there is. I don't care who you are. There are bad audience sometimes, but people having a bad night, whatever. But I can usually tell. Luckily, most of my audiences are always great. But I've seen a lot of name performers have bad nights because the audience, the chemistry, whatever there is,
There's always something. There's so many good configurations. I remember Jerry Seinfeld talking about comedy, and he says it's like going into a 747. There's so many things that you have to adjust, that you have to plan for, and the end result, if it doesn't work, you crash. So there's a lot of things that go on in entertaining.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Yeah, and magic, of course, then you have the magic aspect of you have to make everything work right. There's a lot of technical things going on in my show. I have music and lighting and things. So.
And I would think some magicians, and we even talk about illusionists, and probably that would be the category of Penn and Teller, where they have the bigger things and things like that. Each trick has a certain amount, has components as far as props. Like even if you do a card trick, a coin trick, you're talking about the drink with the shaker, and you had different props for that. Some tricks are more prop intensive. Would that be right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as opposed to just a straight stand-up, they can walk in 10 minutes ahead of the show and they go on stage. I have to get there early, set up my props, equipment. So, yeah, I'm what you call a prop act. So, of course, with magic, that's part of the deal. But, yeah, there's setup time and for the show. People just think you just walk in and it's real magic and just, all the things appear there. But, you have to bring them in and set them up. So.
And say, Paul, with the last couple minutes, what else would you like people to know about what you're doing? And let's tell them how they can reach out to you again.
Yeah, just go to Facebook and do a search for Magician Paul Driscoll, and it'll take them to my official page. And they can, most of my work here in town, because I travel too, but most of my work here in town is private events, like you said before, corporate events where people can't really come. But now and then I'll do an occasional public show, and I always promote that on my Facebook page. I've been doing some kind of magic dinner theater things in some venues around town where people go there and have a dinner, and then I'm like the show after dinner. So I'm working on some of those coming up. So, and hopefully, of course, Magic Island in the fall.
So we can look forward to Magic Island. Hopefully, that would be a great place that
that people can go. There's only 2 magic clubs in the entire country. One's in L.A., which I've worked, the Magic Castle, and Magic Island. So I'm lucky to be here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And as far as the magician or two that's now, you mentioned some long time ago magicians. What about right now? Who impresses you, or who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, David Copperfield does a lot of things, I like. Different people for different things. Chris Angel, of course, Penn and Teller.
Yeah, those guys are great.
Right. And a lot of magicians that I like are not known outside the magic world. They're like really great magicians, but they just never got the exposure that like a Copperfield or someone has. So.
Really quick, from a marketing standpoint, people out there, you have a very unique profession. There are other people that may not be magicians, but they do other things. Give us an idea of marketing, what you do to get your word out. You're doing these parties and corporate events. Give us an idea. How do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much
that's magic in itself there to get that done.
Yeah, right. I mean, I use social media to to promote myself, and of course, I have agents where they field calls, for inquiries for entertainment, and they'll contact me. If I see a venue I'd like to work, I reach out to them. I have videos I can show them. So I'm pretty much my own marketing guy, So
very good, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to Successful Living with Bill Napick. And today, Successful Living with a magical Paul Driscoll. Check Paul out on his Facebook page, even YouTube. Check him out, Paul Driscoll. Thank you, Paul, for being on the show.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.